Hello everyone. Welcome to Shelleyz Education Center. Today in our political science class, I will discuss about sovereignty. This is a very important question for BA CBCS, MA students and also for the students preparing for UGC and other competitive exams. Today, if you are new to the channel, please subscribe the channel for more updates. To understand the question, you have to stay with me till the end of the class. Sovereignty is one of the most essential elements of the state, as there can be no state without it. It is the soul of the state. The word derived from the Latin word Superanus, which means supreme power. In Greek politic, sovereignty had been used to indicate supreme power of the state. It represents unity of the state, whereby the state is extremely free and internally supreme. Sovereignty refers to the source of ultimate authority in society. It is the claim to be the ultimate political authority subject to higher power with regards the making and enforcing of binding decisions in society. Now, what is sovereignty? According to Aristotle, sovereignty is the supreme power of the state. G. Bodin was first exponent of sovereignty. For the first time, the word sovereignty used in political science in the book of Bodin, The Republic, in 1975. The terms sovereign and sovereignty were first used by the French jurists in the 15th century. Sovereignty is a political concept that refers to dominant power or supreme authority. It is essentially the power to make laws. The term sovereignty carries implication of autonomy, to have sovereign power and to be beyond the power of others to interfere. In this capacity, the state points to differences with other organizations. Aristotle has repeatedly used the word for extreme power of the state. Bodin made sovereignty the ultimate power of state founded on citizens and subjects that is not regulated by law. Next point comes to definition of sovereignty. According to Jelinek, sovereignty is that characteristic of the state by virtue of which it cannot be legally bound except by its own or limited by any power other than itself. According to Hugo Grotius, sovereignty is the sovereign political power vested in him whose acts are not subject to any other and whose will cannot be overridden. It is a supreme political power entrusted to a person who is not under anybody else and whose will is impossible to violate. According to G. Bodin, sovereignty is the supreme power of the state over citizens and subjects unrestrained by law. According to Willoughby, sovereignty is the supreme will of the subjects. According to Rousseau, sovereignty is a supreme, indivisible, non-transferable, permanent and united power. According to Harold Lasky, sovereignty is the unlimited power of the state to exercise power over individuals and groups within the state. Next point is types of sovereignty. There are some types of sovereignty which can be defined as: Number 1. Titular sovereignty. It is just only ruler by name. in reality is not capable of exercising any effective power, such as the Queen of Britain, the King of Japan, and the President of India. Next is de jure and de facto sovereignty. From French de jure to legalism and from de facto to real sovereignty came. The next is popular sovereignty. It means that sovereignty lies in the hands of the people, such as in the Glorious Revolution of England, 1688, American Independence, 1775, the October Revolution, 1917 in Russia, and People's Revolution in China, 1949, which established the sovereign power of the people. The kind of this sovereignty has some features also, such as A. Party system and elections are the source of governance. B. The basis of election will be the universal adult franchise. C. People will govern the government directly or substantially. D. The goal of the sovereignty will be for the welfare of the people and the establishment of democracy. The next type of sovereignty is legal and political sovereignty. Legal sovereignty is the ultimate power of the state by which the state legislates and enforces it. This sovereign power is the unrestricted of the state and no one can destroy it, such as Indian Parliament. The legal sovereign is elected by the political sovereign. We can say that the will of the political sovereign transforms itself into a legitimate sovereign law. Public opinion and reaction influence the legal sovereign to take decision. The next type of sovereignty is internal sovereignty. It means the supreme and final power to command all powers within one's territory. An internal sovereignty is a political body that possesses ultimate, final, and independent authority. It refers to the relationship between a sovereign power and its subjects, and it refers to the location of the supreme authority within the state. This sovereignty is freedom too. It implies unlimited freedom to interfere. The state can impose severe punishment on the lawbreaker by calling it an internal sovereign. The last type of sovereignty is external sovereignty. It refers to the sovereignty of the state by which no foreign state will be attacked by a foreign state. So, it means the state is free from outside control of the external power. One state is completely free from the will and control of any other state. Now, about the kind of sovereignty. There are three kinds of sovereignty. Number 1, domestic sovereignty. Actual control over a state exercised by an authority organized within the state. Number 2, interdependent sovereignty. Actual control of movement across states' borders. And number 3, international legal sovereignty. That is formal recognition by other sovereign states. Now, what's the elements of sovereign state? International law defines sovereign states as having a permanent population, defined territory, one government, the capacity to enter into relations with other sovereign states. Chief characteristics of sovereignty. Number 1, permanence. Since the state is permanent and sovereignty is one of the essential elements, sovereignty too is permanent. It does not disappear with the death or deposition of the ruler or the dissolution of the government. Number 2, universality. The sovereignty of the state is all-comprehensive and extends to all individuals and associations within the territorial limits of the state. No individual or association can have any right against the sovereignty, because it is the sovereign himself who confers these rights. Number 3, inalienability. No state can give up its sovereignty and yet remain a state. If a state gives a portion of its territory to another, it ceases to be sovereign only in the ceded territory. Next is indivisibility. The sovereignty of the state is exclusive. Sovereignty is a unity, so it is indivisible and undivided. To divide it, to destroy it. What really divided is not sovereignty, but the exercise of the sovereign power. Number 5, absoluteness. The sovereignty of the state is absolute and legally unlimited. There can be no state without sovereignty, which is absolute both internally and externally. But it is limited externally by the rights of other states and internally by its own nature and the rights of its citizens. There can be a limited government but not a limited sovereign state. The sovereign is absolute, but it does not make the government also absolute. So the conclusion is, sovereignty has to adapt to the present need for diffusion of power within the state and for responsibilities and compulsions politics. New practical developments in the sphere of economics, communications, technology, social movements, and certain legal trends tend to reduce the importance of state sovereignty. But within the state, the will of the sovereign is supreme. This is for the day, and I believe you all were there till the end of the class and have gone through it very well. Leave me with a comment if you liked the class. Please share and refer it to your friends and known circle who has not yet joined with us. Meet you all on my next class. Thank you.